if I didn't have enough projects as it is, I guess we just added another one to the list. We took the airboat out this weekend, and as you can see, I wadded the cage up pretty good. There's pretty much nothing left of the prop. So, I've had a couple people say some things I don't really like on Facebook about what happened. So I'm going to tell the real story of what happened, and then we're going to get to working on this thing. I don't know if I'm going to start my new boat or if I'm going to put this one back together. But regardless, it's got to come apart to be fixed. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So let's get to it. Alright, so a couple things I want to say right off the bat. If you haven't seen it, a deer jumped in my boat, smashed the cage, tore the prop up. But I just want to clear a couple things up. One, I've seen a bunch of people saying I was chasing that deer. I was not chasing the deer. I have no interest in killing deer. I'm not against it, but it doesn't do it for me. I've never been into it, and I'm not going to be. Two, they were saying that I was trying to poach the deer. Obviously, that goes along with the first thing. I wasn't. And number three, I've had some people say, oh, well, that prop shouldn't have broke off at the shank. Well, the motor was running when it happened, obviously, and it shut the motor off. It hit so hard, it took it to a dead stop. So I don't know what you're expecting out of a prop. These are all carbon race blades. These are not regular airboat blades. They're really not even supposed to be rode, but I've got away with it for a long time. Besides that, let's get into the story. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I don't want to bore y'all, but I do want to clear up what actually happened. So we had went down to the lake. We stayed pretty much all day, and we just swam around. You know, we went up and down the canal, hitting the different swimming holes. And then at night, I had two buddies that wanted to go for a night ride. So it was me driving, my fiance and my best friend in the back seat, and then another really close friend in the front seat that I'm sitting in right now. So we went through what we call the marsh at Kissimmee Lake, and it was a normal night. I met up with a couple buddies that I didn't even know were out there, but I'm very, very happy they were. So we rode through where we always ride through, and we were coming back in. We were headed towards the boat ramp, and there was about a boat width and a half water trail, and there was ground over here, the lake was over here, and there were some really tall bushes right here. If you are familiar with Kissimmee, it was that hole in the wall. That should explain everything. So something was telling me either go to the lake or go to the ground, but this was at like 12 o'clock at night. I couldn't see much, so I was familiar with the spot that I was in, so that's where I decided to stay. So we were just going along, and I'm driving the boat. The way I drive in skinny water, just to have fun, is like whop, whop, whop. Well, I'm shining my light on and off because if you know anything about riding a boat at night, you can see the water, but you can't see ground. Well, the water was like this deep, so there was grass coming through it. So sometimes you could see where you were at, and sometimes you couldn't. The water reflects, so I was shining and not shining. Well, I let off the gas after blipping it, turned the light on, and I saw his eyes pop up, and it was too late. He was at the front of my boat. He jumped. I don't know how fast we were going. I really don't want to disclose that anyway, but it was obviously fast enough that he hit the cage. It was the first thing he hit. It folded it in. All I heard was a big whack. And when I went to get back in the gas, because I figured he just hit the side of the boat, the motor had died. So I looked around, made sure everybody was good. Everybody was fine. I looked down the bottom of the boat, and there he was. Luckily, like I said, we had met up with some friends earlier in the night, Keith Spiker and Robbie Turner, and then a couple other people. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for helping us get this boat in. We would have been out there all night if it wasn't for y'all. We got home at like 5:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, which is pretty quick if you know anything about trying to pull an airboat in. So I just want to clear that up. I wasn't poaching him. you know, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, he just jumped in the boat. He did. It is wild. I've actually heard quite a bit of people say after this happened that, yeah, we've had deer jump in the boat too, but nothing near that bad. This was just a freak accident. Matter of fact, my dad's had him jump in the boat, but never jump right into the cage. Maybe that's because we were going a little bit faster than we should have been. But, I mean, there's no speed limit on the water. You kind of just have your own idea of what's fast and what's not. So, in my head, we weren't going that fast because I've grew up around airboats my whole life. I've gone very fast on an airboat, but maybe to the average person, I was going a little too fast. So, this blade actually came out of the top of the cage. I'll pop up a picture of where it nicked the rudder coming out. Yeah, I'm just very thankful that nobody got hurt. The Lord was definitely watching out for us because that could have been a very, very bad night. But I appreciate y'all listening to the story. We're gonna get into pulling this boat apart. I wasn't gonna jump into this project quite this fast, but there's an airboat ride coming up that I really want my boat to be at. So we're gonna try to make that. Like I said, I don't exactly know what the plan is for it, if we're just gonna fix what's here or if we're gonna start over and do a bunch of new things to it. So we'll see, but the first step is getting it apart, so let's get into it. So this is obviously where the deer hit the cage. It sheared this piece off. The first blade, what I'm guessing happened, is the first blade came around, hit the cage when the deer was laying here, sheared the blade off, and he had somehow jumped up, got his head caught in here. The next blade came around and pinched him between this bar and that blade and broke his neck. This is the blade that got sheared off. It's really not too bad for being a fully modified carbon race prop. That's where it sheared off, and then this is the one that pinched the deer in between the cage and the prop. I'm guessing that's where his antlers were. And this blade is totally fine. So I guess we got one good blade. The other thing people were saying is, oh, if you didn't have a pancake cage, this would have been a way better scenario. Well, I agree, it probably would have, but the cage did its job. I like the pancake cage, I like how it looks. It's obviously a little bit lighter. That's why we run them. And yes, I would probably still have a prop if I had a full cage, but the only thing I'm worried about this cage doing is keeping us out of the prop and keeping the prop out of us, which is exactly what it did. Everything did its job. I'm not disappointed with any parts on this boat whatsoever. Obviously it sucks, but the rigging's good from what we've seen so far. The hull's good. Usually, or from what I've heard, when blades break off, they don't go up usually. They usually go, that was a lot of usuallys. But a lot of times they go through the hull. So I'm really glad that didn't happen. We really got lucky for what happened. There's really not that much damage. So thank God for that. Like I said 100 times, thank God that we're all okay. Obviously the boat's replaceable, we're not. So enough with the rant. Let's get into taking this thing apart because we don't have a lot of time before the ride I'm wanting to make, and we've got a lot of work to do, so let's get to it. Alright, so I got 2 more bolts to take out, and then I gotta unplug the light that's at the top. But first I'm gonna take that winch, hook it to the top of the cage, so when I pull the last 2 bolts out, the cage doesn't just fall. My plan is to lift it up with the winch and pull the boat out from underneath it, but that's easier said than done. Hopefully it all goes to plan, so we'll see. Nothing to do but to try it. Hopefully this goes how I think it will. I think it's caught on the header on the other side. It is. I think we're good. It actually worked a lot better than I thought it would. Now I just gotta figure out what to do with it. anybody's looking for an airboat cage, hit me up. Pretty much brand new, slightly used. 5 grand, I don't know. OBO, throw me an offer. Well, we might as well listen to it while we're here. Sounds good to me. Smells like it's running a little bit rich, but better rich than lean, I guess. Well, I wanted to pull the rigging out of the boat in this video, but like I said earlier, I'm not sure if I'm keeping this hull or not, and if I am keeping the hull, there's no reason to pull the rigging out, so I don't want to do something that I don't need to. Obviously, this isn't the video I wanted to post this week. I wish we were still working on the jet boat, trying to get that done. But here we are, so if you're watching, I appreciate y'all watching. That's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.